The Equipment module provides facilities of widespread interest for organizations that have fairly expensive equipment and that require special attention and procedures. Technologically speaking, this is an area that has advanced greatly and has benefited nowadays from important facilities in terms of optical treatment, barcodes, RFID, and remote tracking systems. An important feature that's also available is the geographical integration of equipment via Google. These more advanced features are already covered by our module and will be exemplified in this video. Let us briefly look at the base menu of this module.
The equipment menu is divided into three areas. It includes parameterization and communication features, as well as the definition of products from the perspective of equipment. The area in the middle is about the registration of equipment, Helpdesk tickets, and insurance claims. Please note that geographic tracking itself, as it happens in the modules Vehicles, Fixed Assets, etc., is an extension of this module and may not be used or subscribed by organizations.
The correct registration of equipment, especially if they are sorted and in great number, demands preparation in terms of typological organization and products. It's important to note that in our solutions, equipment are also seen as products and are integrated with the architecture of the subsystem of products and resources. As we shall see, the equipment code itself consists of two parts. One is the product code and the other one is the identification number of the equipment. Now let us move on to the definition of typology and products.
In terms of classes of products, we have defined for this organization EIT for IT equipment, whose defined scope is information technology, hardware and software, excluding equipment which are assets and liabilities and specific to the communication area. EIC, communication equipment, EEI, office facilities, etc. Let's access types of products. With regard to the types of products defined within each class, there is the EEM class for general electromechanical equipment within the EEMGB group, which stands for electropump groups. The types of products are pump, electrical groups, compressors, etc. As we can see, the types of products can be hierarchically organized and the group items are displayed with this G code along with a darker green color. Let's consider this option, specific attributes. The definition of specific attributes, in addition to the standard norms that have already been defined within the application, is essential in terms of the proper characterization and registration of equipment. These attributes are defined for each type of equipment. For instance, we have defined the following specific attributes for the type pump: flow, manometric head, maximum pressure, number of impellers, opening, etc. That is, when we register equipment of the type pump, it is possible to enter in the system for these pieces of equipment all the features that have been defined as specific attributes in addition to the features that are common to all equipment. Just as specific attributes are defined, so can be maintenance norms. Let's finish this part of the menu by looking at the definition of product code themselves. Each type of product may combine several product codes. In this case, let's request the EIT class for IT equipment. As we see, a number of products are displayed in two groups corresponding to two different types of products. First, there is IT equipment, computers, such as mouse, keyboard, computer, data show, monitor, etc. And then IT equipment, network, switch hub, and router. As we shall see later on, the equipment code consists of these proctored codes plus a number. For instance, EITPR012 for the printer 012.
Now let us look at the registration of equipment.
This option generates the list of equipment, including the most important information about them. We will select equipment under EEMS. There are two compressed air tanks, CATs, in here. Let's examine the tank number 2. It belongs to the organization unit 1121, Logistics, Activity A, and is at the facility 0102, Warehouse A. The party responsible for this piece of equipment is Mary Smith. And there are 3 links for occurrences, tickets. By clicking on the link about a loose valve, we have immediate access to that occurrence. When we return to the list of equipment, we can see, for instance, the jump commands. There are many of them. But let's jump to specific attributes. And so we have a whole set of specific attributes which have been defined for this type of equipment, as well as their values. For instance, its maximum pressure is 90 bars. Let's quickly see 2 more options in this part of the menu: Equipment Records and Equipment Waybills. As we can see, the records are in reduced format, so they can be printed on resistant paper and glued or stuck on each piece of equipment. This is especially useful for organizations that do not have web access everywhere and need to check the data on each piece of equipment. This is a simple but very useful feature because it allows equipment users or operators to access their main data and even prevents some serious problems from happening. Let's see now equipment waybills. These are very useful for handling equipment and even obligatory for their transportation in public spaces. There are 2 types of equipment waybills. Let's consider this one highlighted in green, that is ready to be issued. We click on Dock, and that is it. Here is our waybill. Here is the identification number of our organization, the destination, the origin, and the means of transportation, in this case, a pickup truck. Here is a row with the equipment specification. There may be several ones for many pieces of equipment. Then one could type in any comments, and the rest of the document with any remarks for signatures if necessary. Resuming this area of the menu, in case the module Fixed Assets has been implemented, equipment also have data to be recorded in terms of fixed assets, mainly for tax, legal, and accounting purposes. That's why this option is available.
Occurrences with equipment such as handling requests, damages, and others can be handled by the Helpdesk General Support module. Without going into details, as the treatment of occurrences is presented in the video about the Helpdesk General Support, let us briefly see the treatment of these occurrences.
In the menu, upon choosing the Helpdesk option, we directly access the Helpdesk occurrences related to equipment which have not been closed yet. If necessary, we can enter the selection criteria screen and access the history of closed occurrences. By analyzing this occurrence, we see there was a problem with a valve. We also see there is an internal remark about it stating such a problem has happened several times to that type of equipment. Here on the right is the cause. It seems to be a manufacturing defect. A temporary solution has been provided, the intended solution, and also, as we can see, there is a recommendation to solve the issue in partnership with the supplier. This occurrence base allows us not only to treat these occurrences as they happen, by following them up until they have been solved, but also to establish an important history report of what has happened.
Having a tool to record information on claims related to equipment is an important feature for following up recent claims, or even in historical terms. Claims are linked to insurance values, excess insurances, and premiums. Those are the options related to insurances and claims we are about to present.
In this option, we get the list of all insured values, where the policies, insured values, premiums, and excess insurances are identified. Regarding claims, the elements recorded have to do with equipment, occasional third parties involved, and the claims itself. The roof is crushed, the windows are shattered, and the pump connections are damaged. As we can see, a tree of a neighbor that fell on top of the equipment and a friendly negotiation is being awaited from the parties involved.
Regarding equipment, all events deemed important will be registered under the general designation of interventions. Any type of events can be registered, namely refueling, displacements, maintenances, overhauling, repairs, inspections, etc. This information allows a rigorous analysis of the developments and costs, and also timely decision regarding the management of equipment. Let's just see.
This option provides us with the list of interventions. Let's look for interventions on equipment of the type EEM. Here are two of them. Here is the transport of a compressed air tank. It has been displaced to another work site, discharged, and is awaiting reception. Here we see that some maintenance has been done on the same tank by outsourced personnel along with a recommendation to replace that equipment. It is very worn out. Such an intervention costs 1,000 euros. According to the regular features of the interface, we can access the information, change it, or insert interventions and events of any type the organization has defined. It is thus a base of interventions and events related to equipment and is essential to any organizations that have fairly expensive equipment.
The tracking of equipment in general, contrary to what happens to vehicles, does not need to target routes. What matters when it comes to equipment is where they are at in terms of facilities, shipyards, etc. Since these facilities are usually equipped with communication means with the system, a direct communication between the equipment and the system is no longer needed in order for them to be tracked. All it takes is reporting their identification to the system when entering and leaving facilities or buildings. When a piece of equipment enters a facility, it takes over the location containing the coordinates previously assigned to it. Then that piece of equipment takes over the coordinates of the facility and is mapped on Google. Upon inventorying the facilities, the coordinates of the equipment are then reconfirmed. However, there are situations evidencing the need of equipment, usually very important and expensive ones, to maintain permanent communication with the system, not only aiming at controlling small displacements within the facilities, a crane in a port, for instance, but also at informing when they are turned off, on, etc. There is also the issue regarding containers with valuable cargoes in which communicating autonomously and continuously with the system triggers alerts in case they are being moved without permission, or if they can only be opened from inside by means of an encrypted and secret message from the system. We shall see examples of both types of tracking systems. Simple tracking through identification at the entrance and exit of sites via barcodes or RFID, and more sophisticated tracking through devices installed in the equipment themselves and capable of linking directly with the system. Let us see the identification through barcodes and RFID.
We are currently seeing a piece of equipment. It's a computer that has just come into our facilities. Let's read its identification with this RFID reader. Nothing is seen in the computer, but the device indicates its reading. The green light indicates good reading. The fact is that there is an RFID tag inside the computer transmitting the identification of that piece of equipment and other data through radio frequency. A major advantage of RFID tags is here exemplified. The identifier is in hidden and protected place inside the equipment, but it sends out a signal that can be identified even at a fairly good distance. A similar though less advanced solution is the use of barcodes and optical reading. Let's see. Here is a switch containing a barcode tag. We can read it with a barcode reader and the result is the same in terms of input to the system. Well, we have entered those pieces of equipment into the system. But what does this have to do with tracking? Let's go back to the equipment menu and here is the option called Geographic Coordinates. Let's get to it. Okay, here are 4 positions. Regarding Altoga modules, upon registering an organization along with organization or business units and third parties in general, one can also register their coordinates. This is what happened in this example. There are 4 organization units. One of them is the accounting office here in Londrina. We shall select all the rows in here, and we shall execute the command position on map. Let's get the map of southern Brazil from Google showing the locations of those 4 organization units. Here is the one in Londrina, the one in Ponta Grossa, another one in Curitiba, and here is the one in Paraguay. We can see more information by clicking on the balloons. We can maximize the dot here in Londrina until we get a street-level map. And of course, we can choose the satellite image mode. Well, regarding equipment, what happens is that when one piece enters an organization unit, and provided it has already been registered at the organization unit at issue, where the coordinates are entered as well, the latter are automatically assigned to that piece of equipment. Then, whenever a piece of equipment needs to be located on the map, all it takes is to proceed as we have shown in terms of the organization units concerned.
Let us now consider tracking devices that transmit in a systematic way the location of the equipment along with other data, as well as receive orders from the central computer system.
This type of tracking of equipment and other assets is presented in greater detail in the video about vehicles. It begins with the installation of a tracking device in the equipment or asset like this one. This device is like a mobile phone equipped with a GPS system that periodically sends out messages, transmitting the coordinates of its position, direction, speed, and other data to our applications. Our modules receive those messages, record them in the database, and, as we see later on, allows Google to indicate the current position, speed, direction, the route recently traveled, or even the route of some time back by checking the history of that given piece of equipment or asset. These messages also enable other features, such as checking whether the schedules are being met, adjust working times, and stoppages. In addition to these messages sent out to our applications from the device, the other way round also holds true, that is, sending out messages from our applications to the device in order to enable sensors, give the driver directions, and so on. In terms of tracking, the outcome is the same as the one obtained earlier with the RFID tag. The coordinates are ascribed to the equipment so we can see them on the map and through satellite views. Therefore, choosing this system, much more expensive though, is justified only if it is intended to go beyond the scope of the tracking system itself in order to receive additional information such as that related to working hours or sending orders via SMS. Given the above statement, it's up to each organization to assess its real needs and choose the appropriate type of tracking system for each given piece of equipment.
We have presented in this video the equipment module, along with the necessary details for a first assessment by your organization. It should be emphasized that, according to each organization, we happen to be before simple projects, which can be started very quickly, or more complex projects that include a great variety of equipment, the use of RFID, and also a tracking system geographically integrated with Google. In this context, we remind you that the dialogue can be deepened, so we can better analyze your needs and our answers to them. We and the network of partners we integrate are fully prepared to listen and support you.